Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to Leo season. This is a reading for all Capricorn identified folks, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Welcome. This is also a reading that is timeless. So, whenever you happen to come across it, it is a reading for you in that moment. And I hope that whatever you hear in this resonates for you then. And we will be considering some main themes and timing for Leo season in 2024. That's the span of days between July 22nd and August 22nd. So, Capricorn, some of the big themes that feel like they are coming in Leo season are themes of internal alchemy and transition, transformation, and what feels like a kind of potent place of regeneration for you at this time. Over the course of Leo season, a lot of you are really feeling into some new possibilities when it comes to the ways that you generate and regenerate energetically. Generation and regeneration, as the words convey, have a lot to do with actual cyclical time and ancestry. Some of you may be experiencing the qualities of time and ancestry or cycles of life in really profound ways right now. There may be heightened awareness of mortality just in general and the kind of fleeting presence of life as you get to experience it. This may be more acute in some ways because of personal circumstances that are happening all the time. We are navigating loss and transition and death and birth in so many different ways. Situations in our lives begin, end, arise and fall. Relationships come and go, as do people, as do experiences. And there are definitely some signatures in your chart right now that let me know that you are in a place of transition and transformation. And in some way, whether that feels very explicit and external or more of an internal and psychological experience, I think that you are going through a process of regeneration. Regenerating your energy requires letting something go. So there is a kind of death process that you are navigating throughout Leo season. I really love the term creative breakage, and it's something that I've been trying to employ in my life as I'm consciously breaking down structures that I myself have built that were useful at one time for me and no longer really serve. I feel like a lot of you might want to play around with this term or some variation of it and feel into the ways that death processes can also be joyful. They can be processes of liberation. This includes when we are transitioning ourselves or in relationship with those who transition. I know a lot of folks who work in the realms of death doulaing. I've been really privileged and honored to be with some people as they've transitioned. And in my work as an intuitive and studying mediumship, I definitely feel that there is a lot of energy moving between the realms of the living and the beyond corporeal life. You don't need to agree with me, but I do want to suggest that maybe right now there is liberation, enjoyment, happiness, fulfillment, and some kind of particular satisfaction and creativity energy that comes through for you when you allow something to end and really actually involve yourself with putting it to rest. Again, that's definitely a metaphor, so make the meaning that is meaningful for you. This is not at all a reading that is wanting you to get anxious or freaked out. I think that if certain situations are ending in your life, you absolutely know what they are. They're not coming by surprise, and I don't want you to fear something that I'm predicting. I'm simply talking about the fact and reality that things come and go. And right now, you are in a phase of deep letting go. However you want to think about this phase, let your mind go there. In terms of more specifics, I'm going to say that over the last 15 years, a lot of you have been moving through this cycle that probably you know about already if you've been paying any attention to astrology, which is the cycle of Pluto moving through your sign, moving through Capricorn. Now, Pluto has already started to transition into the next cycle and the next sign of its tenure in Aquarius. This year, in 2024, Pluto will retrograde back to the very last degree of Capricorn. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But I will say that in this period of time, a lot of you are culminating and finishing some kind of major personal renovation projects. And I think that these projects over the last 15 years have been challenging, to say the least. At times, you've had more than your fair share of challenge. And I will also say that I think that people in general, and maybe especially Capricorns, find something a little bit enjoyable about challenge. Capricorns, the goats, are known for being a little kinky. And I think that sometimes you find a little bit of pleasure in struggle. Again, take what works, leave the rest. It does feel like there's a transition moment in your life right now where you are feeling into the possibility of maybe it could be easy. Maybe it doesn't actually have to be this kind of constant personal struggle. As Pluto moves out of your sign, there is a sense that you are regrouping and recollecting various aspects of your notion of self and identity. It does feel like a moment when you are remaking and reimagining who you can be and who you want to be in the world. And so this period of regeneration is also profoundly creative. It feels like a time when you want to invite your inner artist, inner child to come forwards. You benefit right now from any kind of creative activities that get your imagination going, that help you engage with a sense of playfulness and awe and mystery. And over the course of Leo season and even beyond and into Virgo season over the next 2 months, many of you are opening your minds and sense of possibility to new adventures. These feel like personal adventures and life adventures, as well as relationship adventures. How these adventures guide you into the next chapter of your life is yet to be seen, because you're in a moment right now of actually kind of recovering and integrating from what you have been through. I think a lot of you are eager for the next chapter and the next step. And there is a period of rest and dormancy that is important at this time in order for you to actually fully release and let go of the old chapter so that you can envision and begin to activate with the next chapter. Over the course of Leo season, and particularly as we near the end of the season, there's a cycle beginning that is a cycle of discernment and refinement. This is a cycle that is taking you through June of 2025. I feel like there are some really big themes around your wellness coming up right now, and that includes your mental, spiritual, psychological, physical, and relational well-being. Capricorn, your mind is your best friend and your worst enemy. It's true for all of us. Our minds are incredibly strong and very mischievous creatures. They move of their own volition most of the time. Our minds are filled with all kinds of misinformation, internalized depression, inaccurate narratives, and just straight up BS. Our minds love to loop on neurotic, spiralic, myopic patterns. And our minds can really help us to work with ourselves when we employ their faculties of observation and turn those faculties back in on themselves. So the thing that I was just saying, another way to say that is we use our powers of observation to observe our own thoughts. And as we observe our own thoughts, we notice, whoa, there's a lot of stuff going on in there that is not necessarily what I would choose to be going on in there. And as we learn to observe our own thoughts, we are also developing capacity and skill to notice how our thoughts reside in our bodies and move through our corporeal and emotional experiences. The sensations of mind immediately become sensations in the body and in our emotions. And a lot of the times when we're not conscious of how those conduits are moving, when we're not observing our own thoughts and we think that they are real, then those sensations become part of the texture of our relationships and they get poured into the connective fabric of our environments. And without meaning to, whatever is going on in our minds can actually really deeply shape our outer experiences, both for the positive and the negative. It feels like you're in a moment right now of really needing to work very skillfully with your mind and its movements. Any kind of study or practice that you can do that brings you into more consciousness of mind-body continuity, any utilization of mind-body technologies, astrology being a great one, embodiment practice being a great one, many forms of meditation, super helpful, mindfulness practices in general. Draw from ancient indigenous knowledge all over the world forever. People have known that there are invisible forces at work, and those forces are just as strong, if not even stronger, than a lot of what we can locate with our faculties of logic and, vision or palpable touch or something like that. So the movement of our minds is invisible movement, right? Who knows what consciousness is doing? Consciousness is moving all around all the time, constantly getting pretty distracted if you're anything like me. And as our consciousness is moving, our bodies are responding. Again, our emotions are picking up, and then we're influencing the world around us. Working with our minds is working with the invisible substance, and working with our minds can also branch out into other forms of invisible power play or wielding invisible capabilities. I'm not quite sure how to get my right language around that. But this is in the realms of energy, and everything in nature has its own energy. So as we work with our minds, we might notice how our minds like to tell stories and objectify the outer world. That includes people, places, things. It also includes our own experiences and our identities, our notions of who we are in the world. When we can use our minds to observe our minds and notice how we're responding, often what happens is we drop the narratives. And then in the present moment, we can actually have a direct connection with whatever or whoever it is that we are in relationship with. There is the realm of energy and energetic frequency. There are so many energies out there in the world, and a lot of the times we are responding to them without even knowing. You can call this vibes. You can call this subliminal communication. You can call this magnetism or harmonic frequency. You can call this quantum mechanics. There are a lot of different ways to conceive of energetic principles. They are very real, even though they are not something that we can often logically explain or tangibly touch or something like that. I feel that a lot of you are really getting interested and maybe needing to get interested in the realms of energy and energetic healing. As you work with your mind, you are working with your energy body, with your subtle body. This is so important for you at this time, Capricorn, because a lot of you are really concentrated at the moment on building a new stable base and foundation for yourself. There's a feeling after you're coming out of this Pluto transit that you are being reformed. And as you find this new form, the ways that you organize yourself around your values and what you know you want and need are shifting really profoundly. I think a lot of you are having big experiences in your sensory bodies right now, and maybe you have been for a long time. You are able to pick up energetic frequencies in new and different ways. You're able to feel things in your environment, in your relationships, in yourself that previously you may have ignored or not been conscious of. And this is leading you to a kind of need to craft or create environmental experiences for yourself that really allow you to rest and reside in your own energy in a different kind of way. Now, this could manifest in all kinds of different possibilities, but one possibility I'm thinking of is with kind of like foundational experiences of home and family. So those are small words with enormous meanings They can be interpreted in so many different ways. Home and family mean very different things to a lot of different people. Again, make the meaning that's meaningful for you. My sense is that you are increasingly sensitive to your environment and to the people and other beings who share your environment. And you are needing to create conditions for yourself that allow you to be in your body mind in ways that are more open and expansive and attuned and connected, which means that we can't have you feeling like you need to shield and guard yourself all the time, which is something that many Capricorns are quite good at doing. A lot of you are very practiced at keeping your head down, keeping your defenses up, moving through life in the ways that you need to move through life, often coping very skillfully and successfully, but still not necessarily just kind of like being and dwelling in energetic openness. And the feeling I have for a lot of you is that you are imagining right now what it could feel like if you got to return every day or live in on a regular basis the kind of environment where your energetic sensitivity has a lot of space to open and where it is fed and nourished really deeply. This could be aesthetic, this could be environmental, this could be relational, this could have to do with sights, smells, touch, texture, etc. This can also definitely have a lot to do with how other people are around you and how you are around other people. This is still a little bit in the future. I think that some of you are just maybe in a place of starting to think about what this could be. Some of you may be feeling it really strongly in your body minds right now. You might feel a sense of like hyper awareness or increased sensitivity, particularly in your mind and maybe also in your skin, in the ways that you come into contact with your environment. But currently, I think that a lot of you are really needing to up-level your energetic and subtle body awareness skills. And so over the course of Leo season, I really want to encourage you to, number one, believe this stuff is real. There are a lot of people out there who want to deny the invisible realms. They're like, energy work is bogus or something like that. It is not. There are really ancient healing modalities that are super effective, a lot of times more effective than allopathic medicine, that are fully based in energetic principles. There are all kinds of scientific processes that are proving and learning to calculate and talk about these principles. Astrology is one way to encounter it. There are so many different ways that you can work with mind-body awareness and energetic healing. Capricorn, if you haven't already invested some amount of curiosity and time and attention to cultivate these skills, I think that now is the time for you to begin. If you have, and this is kind of old news to you, then I'm going to say that now is a time to deepen your skills. You are highly sensitive in this moment. There's a kind of portal that's open for you throughout Leo and Virgo season. It is asking you to step through a threshold. On the other side of that is increased capacity for consciousness and awareness. That is increased capacity for your personal power and agency. And what we need from you in order to do this well is for you to not be distracted, number one, and not be distracting yourself, particularly through addictive patterning and habits that have you reaching for what is outside of you to stimulate some kind of experience for yourself that maybe like takes the place of these more energetic points of connection or consciousness. People do that in all kinds of ways, through media, through sex, through name your substance, and basically anything that you might feel kind of compulsively reaching out towards. Relationship drama is a thing that a lot of people get hooked on. They might say they hate it, but they're still hooked on it because it keeps them coming to some kind of connection And the feeling I have for you right now is that you are craving deep intimacy. And this kind of intimacy is actually something that you need to give yourself. And you can share it with others, but it has to start with you being in a coherent space between mind and body and being sensitive to energy internally and externally. So those are the main themes. I hope that any or all of that felt like it sparked something that's useful for you. Now I'm going to go through Leo season from the beginning to the end. We're going to follow the lunar cycle, which is an easy cycle to follow this season, particularly because we begin with a full moon. This is a full moon at the very last degree of your sign. Literally hours after the full moon, we enter into Leo season. So even though technically the full moon is in Cancer season, I'm going to say this is kicking off the season ahead. There were 2 full moons in Cancer season. If you listened to your horoscope last month, you heard me talking about them. They were both in Capricorn. Not technically a blue moon because we're working with zodiac seasons, not calendar months, but kind of the same idea. Once in a blue moon, once every however long, we get 2 full moons in any particular sign, and it's pretty exceptional that this time it was in Capricorn. The full moons were at the very first and the very last degrees of Capricorn, and to me, I'm reading this as a symbol of culmination, particularly since the full moon on the 21st of July is conjunct to Pluto. As I mentioned, Pluto is finishing up its tenure in Capricorn. It's currently at the very first degree of Aquarius. In September, it is retrograde now. In September, it will move back to the last degree of Capricorn. In October, it's going to station direct on that degree. And by November, it will be out of your sign for the rest of your life. You will not have to experience Pluto in your sign ever again in this particular incarnation. Pluto's orbit around the sun is about 250 years. It has spent 15 years in your sign, almost 16 years. It entered in 2008, and it is making its transition out of there. Thank goodness for you. Okay. So we start Leo season with this full moon at the anaretic degree, or the very last degree of your sign. And this is bringing this sense of that chapter is closing now. Because Pluto will come back for one last kiss before it moves on, it does feel to me that there are some last little details that need to be attended to when it comes to what this cycle has been about for you. So I invite you to think back over the last 15 years. If you're someone who's been following astrology, this will be easy to track. Regardless, you can think back to 08, 09, what has been transpiring since then. Some of the key words for Pluto: power, personal power, and also lack of personal power. Particularly for you, feelings of being disempowered and then needing to find and claim your power again. Disempowerment can come through all kinds of situations and relationships. There have been really significant challenges that you have probably faced with Pluto moving through your sign. These challenges could have manifested as losses of all kinds, violences of many kinds, the experience of really being pulled into an underworld kind of experience somehow, having to face your own shadow again and again and again and again to grapple and wrestle with the forces in your psyche that are animalistic and unconscious, where you yourself are misusing your own power, where you yourself are a cause of harm and violence, where you have stored trauma in your body and where you have stored the trauma of others in your psyche. Pluto requires absolute transformation, and we cannot transform if we don't go through the shit of something. You have been through the shit of something. If you happen to know when Pluto was exact on your personal placements, your sun, moon, or rising, those would probably be the years where this transit was the most intense and worse. If you're very early Capricorn, we might need to track back all the way to 08 or 09. If your Capricorn placements are right at the end, you're in the shit of it right now. I am extending my condolences to you, and I want to say you're going to get through it. This is a transit that is helping you alchemize and work with your own power. We cannot be truly empowered until we know the potential of our psyche. And this is a transit that asks you to really get into that potential. And a lot of our psyche potential is wildly destructive and really freaking terrifying. As you can see, there is a story arc emerging here. So we are moving into Leo season. We're moving into a season where there is a kind of mounting awareness on your need for integration of mind-body practices and energetic sensitivity, because you're moving out of a cycle that had you reworking your psyche so completely. And now we need you to continue with the momentum and growth so that you can take everything that you have kind of upturned and unrooted and now start to reintegrate it in more effective healing and generative ways in your life. The week between the full moon and the last quarter, so the 22nd through the 29th, is a week that feels like you are kind of really in a place of, I'm going to say poignancy, like potent energy. There is a lot that is kind of like moving around in the internal and personal spaces. Some of you might be feeling how there are adjustments happening in your relationships, particularly primary relationships with family, with foundational people in your life, with your support structures. There's a feeling of something has been unearthed. I think a lot of you are getting a sense of your power potential in new ways. And this is leading to kind of unlocking of your creative potency. The weekend of July 27th is a weekend that feels creatively very rich for you, Capricorn. Your creative potency is also erotic potency. I'm going to say that Leo season definitely feels like it could be spicy for some of you. There might be really compelling people or experiences that are making themselves available to you right now, especially this weekend of the 27th. It feels like there are some experiences to be had. That could be you with yourself and your own energy. That could definitely be you with a romantic friend of some kind. At any rate, you can use this energy, even if nobody else is around, to work with your creative, generative eros as it moves through your body. Any kind of art making is great for you right now. Any way that you can move and liberate and be in your body is so good for you right now. I'm really getting that Capricorn needs to dance. And if you have an opportunity to go out dancing on the weekend of July 27th, take it. Get out there. Shake your thing. Do your thing. Dance with people. Enjoy yourself. I think that a lot of you really need some kind of energetic release. I think that this release also gives you a lot of energy. It feels very exciting. This is also a period of time when it feels like everything that you have been through has something to give back to you right now. My feeling is that a lot of you are kind of gleaning the lessons of Pluto in Capricorn. Again, the last 15 years, you've been through some things. You have weathered some storms. You've learned a lot. And there's a way that, again, I think like, you know, Capricorn can maybe almost feel nostalgic for times of intensity and struggle. And there may be a way right now that you're like, remember when it was so fucked up and hard? Wow, like that was really intense and like I did it, you know? And there can be, I don't know, like this isn't for everyone, but maybe this is for someone out there. Appreciating yourself for your capacity to move through hard stuff. Awesome. Definitely take the ease if it's being given to you. So if it feels like, oh, there are these benefits, there are these lessons that are coming up, there's a recognition of how you got through something and now what it wants to give to you, definitely pay attention to that. I'm getting that some of you, not all of you, are dealing with transition for your parents or other important people in your life. Of course, as we've already talked about, people come and go. This may be a season where that is literally happening, or you are aware that it is on the horizon. Maybe you have an aging parent or grandparent or other family member or close person in your life. There may be some of you that are looking at a considerable ending, potentially in a romantic situation or business partnership of some kind. I want to say that anything that is coming to a close right now has a lot of energy to give back to you. And so it's important that you aren't attached to what is changing, staying the same, but that you show up for the process of transformation and transition with a lot of presence and a lot of love. There are some kinds of energetic outpourings or releases that I feel coming into you at this time. So this could be lessons from the past. It could be inheritances of some kind. It could be energetic exchange. But my feeling is that something is ending so that energy can return to you and help you move into this more creative period. The new moon in Leo shows up on August 4th. So that week between the fourth quarter and the new moon, the end of July and the beginning of August, is definitely a week that is bringing a lot of this release energy that I was talking about. The new moon is asking you to really tune into your inner sense of self. This is a new moon that is deeply powerful on an alchemical level. For Capricorns especially, I would say use this new moon for altar making and magical work. If you're a person who practices astromancy or something like that, you can definitely use this new moon to do some kind of ritual that is about increasing your sense of personal power and reclaiming or calling back your erotic energy, your life energy, your personal power, again, from anywhere it might be corded to people, places, things that are not in service to you at this time. Mercury stations retrograde the day of the new moon. It stations retrograde in your fellow Earth sign Virgo. And on August 28th, it will station direct in Leo. So over the course of these 3 weeks between August 4th and 28th, we're working with Mercury retrograde in Virgo and Leo. To me, this feels like a need to pause with some plans. Some of you are really excited about some kind of new adventure or possibility. You may have ideas about growth potentials in your life right now. I think those are probably good ideas, but they need a little bit of finessing, particularly if these plans have anything to do with collaboration with others. Definitely, if these plans have anything to do with shared resources, that includes your money for sure. It also includes your space, your time, your energy, and your attention. This is a time to move slowly, cautiously, and carefully. You need to have heart-to-heart conversations, get real with people if you're trying to do something that involves you moving into the future in some configuration together. This is also a period of time that is really good for this alchemical transformative process that I've been talking about, particularly with Mercury retrogrades or any planetary retrogrades. Applying the RE prefix can be really helpful to think about how to use these cycles for their best benefit. One of my favorite RE words for retrogrades is reclaiming. And particularly for you right now, Capricorn, I feel like a lot of you are reclaiming. You're reclaiming your power. You're reclaiming your creative, erotic energy. You're reclaiming potency of some kind. You're also reclaiming parts of yourself that you may have thought were lost forever when Pluto was on top of you, just battering you with its death rays or something like that. I think that there is a very regenerative quality to this retrograde specifically for you. I'm also going to say that this is a retrograde that needs you to be digging deep and working again with your psyche and subconscious and psychology. The new moon to the first quarter, August 4th through August 12th, feels like a week for you to go deeply internal. So this week after the new moon is a somewhat quiet week astrologically. I'm going to say that if you have the access to some kind of vacation or time off, this is a really good time for you to go dark, turn off your devices, tell people you're going to get back to them later, and give yourself some quality time with you or with those who are the most intimate in your life right now. This feels like a really powerful time as well to be doing the work of kind of like restructuring what is the undergrowth of your life, or kind of like the underpinning in your foundations. Again, money, finances, and shared resources. If you have any kind of like domestic partnership or cohabitance, if there are details that need to be worked out in relationships, this is a really good time to do that kind of thing, to get in there, to look at like what needs to be attended to parse it out, to have potentially challenging emotional conversations. This is really supportive energy for that. From the first quarter to the full moon, August 12th through the 19th, we have amplifying, increasing energy. From the 12th through the 22nd, so basically the last 10 days of Leo season, we have some of the most intense and volatile astrological energy so far in 2024, which is saying something because this year has already been giving intense and volatile, certainly on the collective and environmental levels. And it's only increasing from here on out, from now through 2026. So hold on to your butts. In the 2024 year ahead readings, I do those for every sign and also as a collective reading. I mentioned multiple times, pretty much for everybody, that in Leo season is really when the volume gets turned up. I mean this politically, I mean this socially, I definitely mean this environmentally and in relationship to climate and everything that will respond to the political, social, and environmental realms. So that includes money, that includes housing, that includes food, that includes basic levels of stability. There are a lot of things that are breaking down right now, a lot of things that are breaking down kind of need to break down in order for something else to emerge, particularly inside of institutions and systems of governance and also like social status quos. All that said, I think it's a pretty disturbing time. Personally, there are a lot of reasons that people are feeling anxious, disturbed, and upset, and all of those reasons are valid reasons. However, times of discord and disintegration, times of chaos, are profoundly creative. And as things fall apart, a lot of energy gets released and a lot of new potentials are opened up. There are so many potentials right now, especially when we are working together, especially when we're working to build solidarity and alliances across difference and towards shared goals and common aims. My personal opinion, the biggest shared goal and common aim right now should be thriving and surviving on planet Earth, which is a brilliant parent planet to all of us. It provides so much abundance. It's really a tragedy that top 1 or 11% of people hoard so much of the resources here and fabricate conditions of scarcity, which lead to endless war. Those of us that have any kind of access to any kind of influence really want to be using it right now. So if you have a colleague at work that is thinking about where to invest their retirement account or something like that, you might just share some information with them about like eco-conscious and social investing. I'll say that Capricorn, you might do that research for yourself right now. I think a lot of you are having some kind of new experience when it comes to your sense of resource. And particularly this full moon is really highlighting the part of your chart that has to do with your personal possessions. This definitely includes your bank account as well as other material possessions that you have. This also includes your value systems and your most precious possession of all, your life energy, your body, your vitality, your attention, and your joy. How are you going to work with the resources that you have? Are you going to contribute to a larger collective resourcing, or are you going to hoard what you have and make it all about you? There might be somewhere in between where you don't need to give everything away. You can keep some for yourself. You can contribute to your own stability while you also extend out in support of others around you. I would highly suggest that you use this time to think about building networks of solidarity and support. And one of the best ways that you can do that is through sharing resources. You can benefit just as much as others. I've been in a lot of conversations recently about the power of money. And one conversation in particular, folks were talking about a kind of collective movement where people who had invested more money had more voting power. But they were talking about how this collective movement was a revolution because people who didn't invest as much money could still be there. For me, it was like, no, that's not the point. People who don't have financial access have a lot that they also invest. They invest their time, they invest their energy, they invest their presence. They are giving of other forms of labor. Money is not the only resource. And right now, you want to be resourcing yourself in diverse ways. And one of the most important resources for anybody, and Capricorn, especially for you, because a lot of you kind of go it solo sometimes. I think ultimately Capricorn really understands the value of community. But sometimes y'all can really get into this like, self-containment mode where you don't think that you need anybody. Not all Capricorns, okay? But some of you out there, maybe another Capricorn that you know is like that. Tell them that the best resource right now, the most important, valuable resource right now is community. You cannot eat your money. I hope you don't eat your friends. But if you have community that you're working with, you can provide for one another. You can protect one another. You can increase your potential exponentially the more people that you have who are working together towards shared aims and common goals. This is enormously important in your chart right now. I actually can't stress it enough, because as Pluto leaves your sign, it's going into the sign Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of multiple people, multitudes of people. It's the sign of humanity as a whole. Capricorn, where do you think you have Aquarius? In your second house of resources. When you have community, you have wealth. Your money is not the only form of your wealth. You need people. How can you use the resources that you have in the material realm to increase social stability around you? How can you access social stability to increase material wealth for you and those who you share with? I think that this is a really big theme that you probably want to be thinking about around this full moon, and definitely moving forward over the course of the next 11 months. I talked to you about this period of time where I think a lot of you are doing this work of taking care of your well-being. I said mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual, environmental, and relational well-being needs you to be integrated and coherent in your mind body. That means that you are also really attuned with giving and receiving energy, and you are working fluidly in spaces of exchange. You're not blocking things out because you're so anxious or fearful or suspicious of them. You're not over projecting your ego or whatever on other people. It feels like the more integrated you become in your mind-body wellness and your energetic sensitivity, the more you understand how energy is moving between people, between places, and you become increasingly skillful at moving energy. I think that this is part of your next plan. So it depends on how old you are, but if you have the possibility of imagining yourself still alive in 20 years, then I want to invite you to think of the next 2 decades, which is as long as Pluto will be in Aquarius, as a period of time where you are increasing your skills of moving energy. Energy is resource. Energy is currency. Energy is continuous across life forms, but it also stagnates where it gets hoarded and also where it gets denied. The more that you can learn about moving energy around, whether that's in your body through mind-body practices or whether that's in the world through conscious investing or something like that, the more you participate with creating a world that you want to live in the future and that will give generously to you. So as we move towards this full moon on August 19th, there is increasing attention and focus for you on the area of resource and personal possession. Anything that you own, you don't own alone. It doesn't matter if you think that it's yours. Nothing is permanent, right? Like there's actually no such thing as ownership. Things come and go. They're in our possession for a moment, and then they will return to whence they came and transform themselves in some new way. There are so many symbols in your chart right now of needing to work in spaces of exchange. Debts, inheritances, shared resources. These are big themes for you around this full moon and throughout Leo season as a whole. Investments and learning to share and generate and regenerate with others energetically. Sometimes that feels sexy. Sometimes that feels strategic. Capricorn, I think you can do both in Leo season. I think you can have a sexy and strategic time. And I'm hoping that that is actually the prediction for you for the next 20 years of your life. Stick with me for the next couple of minutes. I want to tell you a little bit about what's happening at Embodied Astrology. I'm going to use this opportunity to tell you even more about your chart. Because we're astrologers, we are working with current timing. So everything that I've just been talking about to you, we have a workshop or some kind of event that wants to support you in these paths of self-discovery and growth and resourcing. Every Monday from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific, you can join me on Zoom in somatic space. If that time doesn't work for you, you can always catch the recording. I offer practices for the astrology of the week ahead that are mind-body practices and energy moving practices. Everything that I was saying, it's time to actually like build your skills and get more attuned with how energy is moving, how your mind body are connecting. This is what we do in somatic space. We're working with astrology as a somatic score. Every week, I'm so grateful that I got myself out of bed to do that class. It always helps me. I feel supported definitely on Mondays and throughout the week because astrology actually works. I find that it is consistently working. And sometimes I don't know how, but I'll create the scores for the week and boom, the day will come that I'm like, energy might be stagnant. Here's a practice to help move through it. Boom, the day comes where, oh, emotions might feel really out of control. Here's a practice for it. The more I employ those practices, the more integrated, coherent, and grounded, expansive, and joyful I feel in my own life. In the last year and a half that I've been teaching that class, I feel increasingly better and increasingly well in my own body mind. And I get that feedback from the folks who come to the classes as well. You can drop in one time and just try it out. If you like it, you can always join the membership. In the membership space for members only, we have a once a month conversation called Astrology Tea Time. That's an opportunity to meet really cute people, to have really cute conversations about how astrology is working in everybody's lives. It's a great place to learn astrology in a very low pressure and fun kind of way. And astrology is a great technology for helping unite mind and body. On August 3rd, I'm going to be joining Gabs 404 in the Nebula Lab. Nebula Lab is a monthly space that Gabs is hosting with Embodied Astrology that looks at the intersections between art, visual culture, media, and astrology, specifically with Neptune as a symbol. Neptune is currently transiting the last degree of the zodiac. There are qualities in this transit that speak to this time of dissolving reality and unreality, and a shaping and reshaping of imagination as we move from one era into the next. As I'm sure you're aware, visual culture and visual manipulation are playing an enormous part in the ways that people are conceiving of what is maybe real or unreal in the world. And Neptune as a symbol helps us to track how storytelling has influenced the collective imaginary across time. This is a really interesting series to get into if you're curious about investigative astrology or using astrology as a tool for understanding time and context. In your chart, Neptune is transiting a very critical place right at the root of your chart. And when I was talking about some of the themes that have to do with your energetic sensitivity and the need for home, family, and belonging that is more sensitive with you, I was talking about Neptune. In the class that I'm going to offer on August 3rd, I'll be giving a presentation on Neptune in the natal chart. You don't need to know anything about astrology to get something from that workshop. And if you're interested in joining, you can join one time, or you can also join the full series if you want to learn more about Neptune with Gabs. Gabs has had several guest presenters, and there is so much really cool content in that series. Later in August, right before the full moon on August 18th, our faculty member, Sherry Taylor, is beginning a 3-part devotional cycle with your ruling planet, Saturn. Saturn is currently moving through Pisces. Saturn will be conjunct with Neptune at the beginning of 2026. You heard me talking about how 2026 is the initiation of a pretty significant new chapter, and this has to do with the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. Anything that Saturn is doing, you definitely want to pay attention to, again, because it is the ruler of Capricorn. It's a very important planetary energy for you. On August 18th, Sherry will be joined by the astrologer Anders Renee, who has a specialty in vocational astrology. They're going to be helping us tune in with astrology and its guidance for our path and purpose. Vocation and career are not necessarily the same thing. So if any of you have been feeling a need for some kind of deepening or clarification of your path, of your vocation, or of your career, this is a really great workshop for you. Anders is an awesome teacher, and Sherry will continue from that presentation with 2 more events over the course of August and into September, where she will be offering practices to work with the devotional energy of Saturn. Again, any way you want to work with Saturn is going to be beneficial for you, but especially how Sherry brings us into process. She's a clinical psychologist and a death doula. She's a grief mentor. She is an incredibly wise being, and she has a lot to offer Capricorns about this energy that is so important to you. The day after the full moon, on August 20th, Janata Petrus will be holding her once monthly artistic alchemy space. These spaces always happen around the full moon, and they are spaces where Janata leads us with prompts and practices to help us alchemize our own artistry in our lives. It's a great place to bring any kind of creative projects or longings. It's also a great place to come and work on your life as art. Janata is an amazing example of life as art. She is an award-winning author and playwright and very creative, living kind of role model and possibility model. And her spaces are so generative and so joyful. I always feel really deeply nourished after attending one of her events. Finally, Capricorn, I hope that you will consider joining me in person. October 24th through the 27th, I'll be co-facilitating a weekend-long retreat in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains at the Eco Dharma Center with Ramon and Michelle Gabrieloff Parrish. Ramon and Michelle are two of my favorite facilitators. They are longtime activists and organizers in the realms of food and environmental justice. They work with community preparedness and action plans, and they incorporate astrology, somatics, and spirituality into their work. Over the course of this weekend, we will be practicing really deeply together with our mind-body intelligences and our energetic awarenesses. This is a great space to meet people, to connect, also to work on your own practice, to be in a really, really beautiful place high up in the Rocky Mountains. The energy there is incredible. And also to be preparing for what's coming by using astrology to help strategize and plan. You can find more information about everything that I just mentioned in the show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. Please follow us on our social media channels. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you stream your podcasts at Embodied Astrology. Capricorn, I'm wishing you all the best in Leo season and beyond. Bye for now.